I mean, the Americans bottled it. You knew that in their backyard they were going to come out and fight. He didn't do it. He stank the place out, and now I've got to pay him to go away. You can't find that out until you put someone in the top 4 job. Don't tell that sort of crap in front of the media. The world's media will be going, West Ham have cancelled a presser. In their face.
It was something else, I must admit. I watched almost every bit of it.
So did I.
Since last Friday, did you, Simon?
I've become a convert.
The Ryder Cup, my God,
expert.
it was incredible. And Europe retained the Ryder Cup last night in spite of an almighty collapse that almost allowed the US to pull off what would have been an extraordinary comeback. Only 2.5 points from a possible 12 were needed to retain the trophy. And then came a near disastrous collapse in the singles, but Europe claimed a 15-13 win. I mean, Simon, I cannot remember being on the edge of my seat watching a sporting event for such a lengthy period of time and thinking, I still don't know how this is going to work out.
Oh, well, listen, I don't think it was a collapse. I think the Americans massively upped their game. And if you look at the reality of the foursomes that seem to have not worked well for them, when they got into playing individually, they were much better. I think they played, as much as Europe played brilliant in the first 2 days and the first 3 sessions, the Americans played really well in the last session. And they managed, it's like being, can you imagine being 6-0, 6-0 and 5-0 up, and someone comes back to bring it back to 5 and still loses 7-5? The Americans still lost. It doesn't matter how much they huffed and puffed and how close they got to the line. Yeah. They lost.
They will hate that this morning, won't they? I mean, you've lived there. Is there a greater sporting satisfaction than handing it to the Americans in their own backyard?
Certain Americans, yeah, like Bryson DeChambeau. I mean, I would like to hand it to him forcefully. I mean, I don't think I've ever watched a golfer and been so irritated with DeChambeau, not just because of the situation with Justin Rose the previous day, but also the attitude when he was on the march. Okay, he was hitting the skin out of everything.
Martin, did you take it in?
Yes, I watched the last bit of it. Yeah, it was terrific stuff, you know. And it's interesting, you know, when Shane Lowry actually finally sinks that putt for them to that was them to retain the trophy at that particular stage. He said in an interview afterwards, he has won the Open, and yet he thought that the Ryder Cup meant more to him.
Yeah,
that is extraordinary. It has become an incredible event, really. And when you think of way back quite some years ago, when Rory McIlroy actually said, no, he said golf's an individual game. He said, I've got no real time for the Ryder Cup.
Yeah,
how his attitude has changed as well too. Not just his attitude.
It was nice for Shane Lowry though, wasn't it? Because Shane Lowry always seems to travel to some extent in Rory McIlroy's slipstream. Even when they're playing the Masters and they're asking Shane Lowry about Rory McIlroy, and he's going, I'm still playing.
Yeah.
You know, what are you asking me for?
Yeah. So you're telling us this morning you actually felt patriotic about Europe?
No, I didn't feel patriotic. I felt committed to the cause. There's a difference.
To the cause.
The common denominator of beating the Yanks.
I'm sorry I didn't hear this before, but Jim said to me just before we got on air, he said that you weren't totally in love with the Ryder Cup because they included Scotsmen and Irishmen in it.
No, I didn't bring Irish into it. I said Scots.
Oh, did you?
Happy with the Irish.
Oh, fine. You're happy.
But what I said was, I'm not I don't feel myself as a European.
Oh, right.
I don't walk around saying, hey, I'm a European, I better be patriotic to the blue and yellow stars.
Yeah, I get that.
What about Luke Donald, though? When you look at it, 4 Ryder Cup wins out of 4 as a player, and he becomes just the second European captain after Tony Jacklin to lead his team to win both home and away matches. Luke Donald. This was Luke.
But this means a lot, obviously, to me and the team. We came here knowing that the task was going to be very difficult. Couldn't be more proud of these guys, what they've gone through, how they come together, how they're playing for history, how they're playing for the people who came before them, and now they'll be talked for generations to come now as someone that will go down in history, and couldn't be more proud.
There's a bit of dignity, Simon, isn't there?
Sure. It's often easy to be dignified in victory, isn't it? It's equally as important to be dignified in loss. I mean, the Americans bottled it. No two ways about it. They bottled it. And I think all their hysteria and all of the aggressive sledging or fan behaviour potentially backfired on them. Because
they damn near caught the Europeans, though, Simon. They damn near caught them.
They didn't, though, did they?
No, they didn't.
Damn near doesn't make any difference.
No, true.
In the margins of time, we won't remember the fact that they had a very good last day. They lost 3 of the 4 sessions. That's unheard of for an away team to go and compete in that way and to do what the European team did to them. In their face.
I don't think they're that brilliant in the foursomes, are they? America, you know. So
no.
I might be wrong about that there, but certainly 2 years ago they were very poor.
But I think the story of it, Martin, was we won't look back in the first 2 days, Simon, and think of such dominance when the fours were out, when it was two against two. But we'll look back on this as Europe just making it 15-13.
But that's wrong. That's not right to do that. That's
the story of it.
Yeah, but that's the way the media want to represent it, or the way that the sensationalism side of things.
But that's the case. It is, because I agree with Jim. Absolutely, because it was 15-13. People think that was close, and for about 25 minutes. It was.
But that's
incredibly close.
I don't know what you thought when I was reading all the press.
If Shane Lowry doesn't make that putt,
they're in trouble.
They are in trouble.
They did, and if Justin Rose hadn't been unlucky on the last hole, and the fellow that he was playing against hadn't holed out and had lost 3 holes in a row, if Tommy Fleetwood hadn't played as brilliant as he did and got done on the last hole, these things happen.
I don't know how you can frame it that the Americans bottled it.
No.
What,
for the first 3? No. What
if they'd lost the first 3 singles matches and we'd won it, that's a bottle job.
No, Jim. The event was predetermined after the first 2 days. The Americans had to, the embarrassment. I read all the British press on Sunday morning and I thought, we're going a bit too hard with this about record scores. And also Ollie Holt, who I like very much, and a few of the other journalists went hell for leather about the disgraceful conduct of the American supporters, compared the foursomes to the team that picked Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods in 2004, which was a toxic partnership that never worked and created a bad result then. And so we'd written their obituary. So you knew that in their backyard they were going to come out and fight. That's the least they could do after all their mouth and trousers.
It's the least they could do.
After running up the 18th hole with Keegan Bradley holding a US flag. It's the least they could do.
But I don't think people expected that Aberg was the only one. It was the only European to win.
Of course,
to win a game. That's extraordinary.
We went into the final day 11.5, 4.5.
Absolutely,
it was done.
It was,
but it wasn't. That's the thing. It wasn't done. And 15-13, I think, is the scoreline that they will remember. I don't think. Well, are many of you out there?
How did Bob McIntyre do?
Bottled it.
Bob McIntyre misses a 4-foot putt.
Bob McIntyre got half a point at the end.
Just about.
Bob McIntyre, don't you point?
Just about.
Bob McIntyre.
If he'd have sunk that 4-foot putt, everything else would have fallen into place. But he didn't.
More than played his part. But let's go with it. Is Simon right? Did the Americans bottle it? Or were you like me, frightened to death that they damn near were going to win it? It's 6 minutes past 11 o'clock. This is Monday, September the 29th. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin O'Neill. And we are live on talkSPORT, coming your way in various different ways on TV as well. You can watch us live, Chromecast, Android, Prime Video, wherever you want to watch us. We are there for you. A lot to get through. So much for the Ryder Cup. Well done, Europe. Well done. Thank God they did it. We'd never have lived it down, would we? 3 weeks after his sacking at Nottingham Forest, Nuno Espirito Santo is back and he's a new manager at West Ham. Saturday morning, the statement came through from West Ham United. Results and performances over the course of the second half of last season and the start of this one have not matched expectations, and the board of directors believe that a change is necessary in order to improve the team's position in the Premier League as soon as possible. Funny that, because only days ago on Sunday Edition, board member Karen Brady said this.
Graham is a forward-thinking manager. He's sort of calm under pressure. He's very detailed in his approach. He's a great manager of players. He builds a special relationship with players and they understand where he's coming from. And he has a modern mindset. And all of those things mean that it does take some time to put a team together, to get the team playing the way that you want. I mean, West Ham is not a club that panics about its managers. We tend to support people, stick with them and see it through. I really hope he does well. He's a pleasure to work with. He's incredibly professional. And I know the players respect him.
And they sacked him. So out he goes. Simon, you always say, what's the point of a mind if you can't change it?
I also told you what Karen said was absolute drivel, because they'd had Lopetaki for 5 months and sacked him. So it was a thing that they do. It had been done. So, she must have slipped her mind. And there was no indication to me that Graham Potter was going to make any difference in the ensuing weeks that he hadn't been able to make in the previous ones. So I didn't take any of that. And if you remember when we discussed it, I said precisely that as I say now. But, Graham Potter is the architect of his own downfall. Are you surprised he's been sacked?
Let's ask the chairman of the LMA, Mr. O'Neill. What was your take when you heard it?
You mean when he got sacked? Well, you're in the business. Any manager over at the age of 18 knows what to expect in the game. It's as simple as that. You're in the results business. You've always been in the results business, and you take it on knowing exactly this is it. So you have to win football games. I've repeated this so many times. You have to win football games. I know this here to my own cost. Things that you have to do it. And if you're not winning football matches, then you are in trouble. It's really as simple as that.
Martin,
what you don't want to have is that the last thing you want to have is someone telling you from board level that your job is safe when you know it is not safe. This is the point, because, it's the, the old fate that awaits you. Now, Karen has may have said those words. I think now, I think she should, don't say anything. Please don't say anything. You can, if someone's asking you, is your manager's job safe? Just don't say anything.
The fatal backing of the board. But as chairman of the LMA, and I know you're on with us and you're giving your views as Martin O'Neill, and that's great. That's why we have you. But Graham Potter spoke in the build-up to West Ham going to Everton tonight, which is live in talkSPORT, as part of his pre-match duties. Yeah. Was it disrespectful of West Ham and the hierarchy to let it go that far?
Yes,
and stick him in there.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. I don't care, but it's absolutely right. He should not. If they know that he's going to go on Saturday morning, why do the press conference on Friday?
What are you laughing at?
And what was his human rights transgressed, were they? Should we take ourselves out of the ECHR because Graham Potter had to do a press conference?
No, that's not the point.
It doesn't matter. First of all, he's not.
No, wait a minute. So,
if I sack you,
I was asked the question. Asked the question: was it disrespectful? I think that.
Okay.
Yes. Was it going to change things? Well, no.
Do I think it's an ideal way to behave? I think you're probably right, Martin.
All right.
But what does respect or disrespect come into it? There was a press conference that needed to be had. What the balancing act is, I wouldn't have done it that way, but let's try and work your way through the mind of David Sullivan, if anyone wants to duck into that murky little space, right? And have a look and say, what would you do? You've got a press conference, right? What are you going to do? You haven't quite got Nuno across the line, so you're dotting the I's and crossing the T's. You've got a press conference. You want to give the world media an opportunity by going, no Graham Potter today. Or you go,
so what? As an owner, you just feed them Potter.
Because what you do is...
On you go, Graham.
What you do is you say to Graham Potter, you're going to do a press conference, right? And then you go, I'm going to fire you and I'm going to pay you for the next 3 years. Let's get context, right? He went and did a bloody press conference.
If it was you,
he wasn't put in front of stock and thrown tomatoes.
So what you're saying, sorry, Jim, what you're saying is that they told Graham Potter on Friday before he did the press conference, you're right.
I doubt it. Well, but what you're talking about is this perceived expectation of professional courtesy and what you think you're entitled to, which often is not the same courtesy that's exhibited by managers back to their owners, you included.
No, listen, let me start again.
Good.
The very word that Jim mentioned was disrespectful. That's all. Is it an inevitability that manager doesn't get results? Just a second.
But what I'm saying
and
is,
you say to me included. Sorry, so give me that again.
Well, I'll give you an example of you by your own admission, talking about your attitude towards Randy Lerner and some of your responses to it, and you look back on it with the benefit of hindsight and said, wouldn't have done that, wouldn't have said that, wouldn't have behaved that way. Now, go back into this situation where you're the owner of a football club, you've got a press conference coming up, you know you're going to let the manager go, you know you're going to have to pay this manager for doing a job that wasn't particularly good. So you take the lesser of two evils, you go, what am I going to do? I'm going to do a press conference which people in their little ivory towers might consider to be disrespectful. Disrespectful will be firing him, trying to chip him for his wages. That would be disrespectful.
My job actually was particularly good because we had just qualified for Europe. We finished in the top 6. That time I left my job. I left my job in what shall I say? Rather ominous circumstances.
I'm only reminding you of what you said.
No. What I said is that I dealt with it badly.
Well,
I dealt with it badly, but I did not leave in terms of the job that I left. Actually, as I said, we were finished in Europe. Anyway, that's beside the point. I just wanted to let you know that. But here was the point. I'm getting back to it. It was disrespectful to do this here. If you know, all right, then he hasn't. So David Sullivan hasn't got Nuno over the line at 9 o'clock.
What should they do then?
What should they do?
What's just out of curiosity?
Well, the game's tonight.
All right.
Cancel the presser. Make it on Sunday morning.
Oh, okay. So let me get this right.
Good shout, Jim.
They cancelled a presser, and you would be doing what the next morning? The world media would be going, West Ham have cancelled a presser. They made a judgment call to make a press conference, which is less than ideal.
What would you have done?
What do you... I don't know. actually.
Well,
Oh,
go
what?
there we
What?
go.
All of a sudden he doesn't know.
I'll answer
You
the question.
wouldn't know.
I'll answer
Well
the question. I would have taken the lesser two evils, and the lesser two evils would be Graham Potter, right? Because I brought Graham Potter in to do a job. He didn't do it. He stank the place out, and now I've got to pay him to go away. So I'm not particularly amused by him in the first place. So he would be my last concern. My bigger concern would be, how am I managing my going concern? My going concern, what's going is Potter. What is a bigger picture for me is what happened next.
Right, so they made the announcement on Saturday morning. They threw Potter into the press conference on Friday.
Yes.
Well, as you say, they might not have got Nuno over the line by then. That's their problem.
Sure. So, so do they manage it for the well-being of an individual, or do they manage it for the well-being of the
No,
collective?
but we're talking about respect.
That's all it is. That's all.
That's all it is.
Just
Pair
a,
of
just
fannies.
a little,
Nonsense.
no,
It's
just
the
a little
real
bit of
world.
respect. You
just call us a
you've
pair of
asked-
fannies.
Bleeding heart
Not
liberals
at
of the
all.
world
No,
unite.
I can understand you having so many managers who
It's
didn't.
not the point. It's not the
No,
point.
just a second. Who
Not the
didn't,
point.
who didn't do the job that you wanted them to do. So you hired
that's
them.
what Marinakis
Just a
thought about
second.
you.
hired
Sorry,
let
them.
Martin finish his point, please.
Absolutely. Wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah. You hired managers that you
that's
thought
it.
could do the job.
I did.
And you fired them pretty quickly.
Because they didn't do it.
You absolutely, because
'Cause
they
of
didn't,
them.
they didn't do it after 3
Yeah.
games.
He's
And
forgotten
it was,
how many
you know,
he fired.
No, it was
and
like-
it was-
I,
yeah.
got, I walked past 19. Most of my managers
You
went past
must have
19.
got past
You didn't even make 19.
I got 19. I
out.
got 19, and we won the last 3, and I was out it. But listen, it's my point is back to Jim's point. That's all it is. If you know that you're going to fire a manager, get on with it and do it.
He's got
And
to
if
say
it-
this.
That's the point.
'Cause he's-
And
'cause he's
there's a
engineered a position with the LMLA now.
unless there's a fairly decent chance. Would it be a minute? West Ham at the end of it all, it's still a big job. So Nuno, with respect, and I've not spoken to him about this, and I don't really know him, but there's a fairly decent chance on Thursday night he's going to take the job. He's going to take the job. He hasn't taken it at 9 o'clock on Friday. Oh gosh, we're in a bit of a pickle. No, it's ridiculous.
Exactly. Martin,
It's ridiculous.
Thanks for putting that into
He's got to say
perspective.
this
And
because he's the
sensible
chairman of the LMA.
perspective.
He's
Yeah.
got to say it.
No, don't have to say this.
little
Not at
quango
all.
that does nothing.
No, I do
Martin,
not have
I'm
to
with
say
you.
this.
There's a right way and a wrong way.
At the LMA, I do not call any shot at the LMA. My role is not that at all.
Maybe you should.
But
I'll get a few more things
yeah,
done.
well done. And so I just get back.
We're
get back
seeing you in your
get
true
back
colours
to-
this morning,
Oh,
boy.
for his Jordan,
Yeah.
Jordan,
When's the media
who's had
conference?
35 managers to his
Exactly.
credit. Do you know?
I can't remember. How many is that we've sacked now?
Yeah.
Binham. Anyway, so Graham Potter is gone. Nuno is in, and we'll maybe hear a bit of Nuno after this break. It's a controversial one, but an enjoyable one this morning, live on talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. You might be interested to hear about these podcasts we can offer at the moment. The latest episode of the 21 Minutes to Go podcast with Andy Goldstein, Jason Cundy is out now. If you haven't already, go check it. 21 Minutes to Go with Goldstein and Cundy, available on your favourite podcast provider. And what about Men in Black? Catch the latest episode of the Men in Black podcast as Sam Matterface and former Premier League referee Chris Foy cast their eye over the weekend's biggest refereeing debates. Find it all on the Premier League All Access podcast feed or the talkSPORT YouTube channel. You don't want to miss that. We are quite sure that Arsenal fans this morning, the ones who made the trip to the northeast, are very glad that they did, because they didn't want to miss what was witnessed at the end of that game. So Newcastle seemingly in the driving seat, and then Arsenal came back, a late winner against Liverpool versus a late winner for Arsenal. I mean, how fine are the margins going to be between regret, missed opportunities and statement results in this title race? This was Arteta post-match.
I think we discussed to go to the next level. First of all, you have to learn from the past, and certainly we take some lessons and very sort of different and sore moments in this ground. And today was an opportunity that the game brings you again in a really important week in the Premier League. After all the tough places that we already been very early in the season, to show who we are, who do we want to be, our ambition, and the way that that we want to play. And I think the team is done that today in a remarkable way.
So Arsenal left with the points. Martin O'Neill alongside Simon and myself this morning. I mean, 32 games to go, Martin. And yet, in some quarters, this was being billed as a swing weekend. Was it? Even this early?
I don't see it like that at all. I think it was an opportunity for Arsenal to get some points after Liverpool had been beaten the previous day. But heading to Newcastle and getting all 3 points that's pretty difficult. They got it eventually. They got it in the last few minutes of the game. Well, it's a great result for them, terrific result for them. But it's far too early to call that. Although, having said this, the two sides are very evenly matched. They've got the squads. They've got the ability to soak in injuries and things like this here. And I think that it'll be a big contest between the two of them.
I mean, last week, Martin, the critics were out in force about caution surrounding Arteta and Arsenal. Did he respond, do you think? Is he in at number 10?
Well, I'm not an apologist here for Arteta. Far from it. But I thought that I can't see these things. I can't see the talking about caution. This started, didn't it not, a couple of weeks ago when they were up at Liverpool and talking about caution. There's a tactical ploy to try and win a game of football. Arsenal they've got strength and depth. They've got really good players, and they can score goals from set pieces. You've got a fair chance of that, and defensively they're pretty strong. So they've got a really good team. I don't buy that at all about this caution. As I said to you, I'm not an apologist for him. Far from it, but it's not the point. They are a strong side and they're really good. And this idea about taking caution, if they were playing away at Real Madrid, would you turn around and say if you sat back for 10 or 15 minutes that's a cautionary approach? I don't see it like that.
Did you see it in any way, Simon, as any kind of swing weekend? It was being billed as such over the weekend.
No, I think it exhibited Arsenal's well-established credentials. That they are a top side that will be in the mix, and so they should be. They've had 5 years in the making. They've had a significant investment. They've filled the holes that apparently they needed to fill, and so they established the credentials of what will be a serious tilt at the Premier League, and so it should be. And it should be something that people would expect of them. I mean, what I watched over the weekend was this unerring understanding that it is very, very difficult, as if it wasn't before, but it's becoming even more difficult to win matches in the Premier League. The teams that are in that Premier League from top to bottom give everybody a game. I mean, you're watching Wolves, play against Tottenham, and Tottenham coming back in the last minute of a game, and Tottenham are in relatively good nick. You're looking at all these sides across you're looking at Palace, who have been outstanding.
It's always been like that.
No, I think it's getting even more difficult. I think the technical ability of the sides and the competitivity in the league, I don't know what you think, Martin.
I think the competitivity is very, very strong.
Is it more difficult now, Martin, to win a game?
They're difficult matches. There's no question about it. You're going away from home, despite what I'm talking about West Ham. It's still difficult to go and win football games. It always has been that there, but I think it's very tight. So that result, if you're saying to me that Arsenal had a God-given right to go to Newcastle and win, I didn't see it like that. Didn't see it like that at all.
I mean, you look at it and you think to yourself, there was a difference between the two sides. Arsenal were the better side. They thoroughly deserved to win. But they had to sweat bullets to get to that point. And so their superiority, which was clear and evident on the field, and I think Eberechi Eze being in the side gave them another dimension. And I think the idea of caution, there's an element of when they went to Liverpool, there was nothing in that. They were physically better than Liverpool in the first 25, 30 minutes, but there wasn't any creativity. I think that was the question.
Yeah.
And it came again when they played the following week. But this Arsenal side had to work to win a game. So being so superior to Newcastle, yet still only managed to eke it out in the last 5 minutes of a game is the point I'm making about having to win matches. But at such a level now.
Yeah. We're 2 hours in almost, and we've got to mention Palace, and we haven't done so yet. Because they get a result against Liverpool. You know what? That's one thing. 18 games unbeaten in all competition. 18 games for Crystal Palace under Oliver Glasner. And he was asked after that win, where can you take them?
I don't know where our ceiling is. I just know that last year, at the same time, I think I was asked how long I will be the manager for Crystal Palace because we had the worst start into the Premier League season ever. And I think this year maybe we have the best one or whatever. Last year ended with a points record, so that's why I'm always very humble, and we're always really then very analytic. Yes, we're enjoying this win, we're enjoying this evening. That's why we love football. That's why I'm working in football. But tomorrow we will sit together, analyzing our game. What are we doing really well? What we have to improve. This is just who we are and how we want to be, and then it's always about daily work.
Glasner, And this ceiling, what I mean,
Well, when people talk about ceilings, inevitably bump their head against them, don't they? When we heard Postecoglou a couple of years ago saying, "I don't talk about ceilings, mate."
Yeah.
And he put Tottenham at the bottom.
What was he, Welsh?
Yeah, he was a Welsh Australian.
Okay.
But I like Glasner. You know, with all due respect to the departed, I actually said to Daniel about him during the summer, why not Glasner? And his own views on it. But I think he's a top manager. Do I think he'll be Palace manager at the end of the season? I'll be bloody amazed, because he's got nothing left on his contract now. This is his last year. He hasn't been given the support, yet he's working the Oracle. I mean, they're taking their best players out, repeatedly taking their best players out. Not unfortunately for Palace, which is the great thing, they're not taking them out. These clubs are having to bloody pay for them now. So that's the good thing about it, is that Eze went for top money, Elise went for decent money, and people are having to pay for it, and Guehi didn't walk out the door. But they are operating at their highest level, and it's like Nottingham Forest last year. Palace are, their run of form as a unit, as a team, is fabulous. Look at the teams that they're beating. Look at the results that they're getting. And they've got a European competition, so we'll see how that plays out with the strength of their squad.
Yeah, Martin, can you imagine if they'd given Glasner funds, and I mean decent funds, to strengthen?
No guarantee there.
Well, no, there isn't any guarantee there. I think because the players are playing at the top of their game now at this minute, and there's a lot of confidence about the side, primarily because of this run that they're on.
What do you think of this guy and what he's doing?
It's very difficult not to be impressed by him. Difficult not to be impressed. You know, you're talking about Crystal Palace, a slim-sided man who owned the football club. It's a great football club.
It is.
No question about it. But it has a ceiling, like everything else. You know, whether it's got a financial ceiling.
Indeed.
And this is the problem with it. So how far can he take the football club? Well, he's taken it to great heights. They've won the FA Cup. They've gone and they've smashed Liverpool, as Simon said. Yeah. Absolutely smashed them. Yeah. They could have been 4-0 up. Yeah. I think even Slot said this. They could have been 4-0 up before Liverpool get started. So it's been a terrific effort. There's a really great feel-good factor about Crystal Palace now at this minute. And Glasner is the top of anybody's. He's absolutely. And he's at the top of any wanted list at the minute.
The problem is, and I don't want to be a doomsday merchant or a doom scroller, is that where it's taking somebody is Glasner into someone else's dugout. That's where it's taking Crystal Palace, because this level of attainment, this level of achievement, winning an FA Cup, competing in Europe, beating sides, irrespective, Palace are not going to finish sixth in the league this year. They'll finish high up the table.
Is he a top four manager?
You can't find that out until you put someone in a top four job. And a top four job has a different set of criteria attached to it, because it normally tends to be of a legacy football club with a much heavier shirt, right, to wear. But he has all the credentials and all the qualities to look like he could be one, doesn't he?
He's a winner,
absolutely. Absolutely. He's. Did you say is he a top four manager, or are you talking about taking Crystal Palace into the top four? That would be very, very difficult. Very difficult. But is he a top four manager? Is he a top class manager? Absolutely.
He's a big occasion character, isn't he?
He's great.
He wins the FA Cup. Eintracht Frankfurt beat Rangers in that UEFA Cup final.
I'll get back to the point. He's winning football matches, and he's winning sometimes against the odds, and that makes a good manager. When you're winning against the odds, and he's been doing that. He's taken a team. They've won an FA Cup final. That gives you. Well, first of all, it gives you great self-confidence, and as Sir Alex Ferguson used to say, winning a competition gives you power. And he's got power there. He didn't, as Simon mentioned the last time I was on the programme here, he didn't get the funds last year. He was entitled to get something this year. He's performing well and truly above his remit.
I wonder if he'll go on and they'll win the Europa Conference League trophy. That'd be something, wouldn't it? Even though you two totally dismiss the trophy.
The trophy's not
as a competition.
But still, while you're in it, go and win it.
We didn't want to be in it. We weren't in it, were we? Didn't qualify for that tournament, did we?
No,
we qualified for the Europa League.
But you'll give it kudos when they win it.
Oh, we'll take what you're given, don't you?
That's true. It's 12 noon, lottery through in the final hour. Stay with us. Where do we go with Manchester United? Manchester United, what are we witnessing at the moment? They lose 3-1 at Brentford. The 12:30 kick-off Saturday lunchtime. Ruben Amorim oversaw his 17th defeat in 33 Premier League matches, losing 3-1 at Brentford. The last time Manchester United won back-to-back league matches was May 2024. Amorim, post-match.
We talk about this every time our team lose. We need to work on a lot of things. And again, today My biggest concern is we didn't settle along the game. In the final third, we missed a lot of crosses. We suffered goals in transition that we knew during the week and work on that. So that is the things that we need to improve.
Martin, does that statistic amaze you? Because it amazed me. Back-to-back league matches. The last time Manchester United won back-to-back matches, May 2024. What are we witnessing? Are they incapable? Is he incapable of producing momentum?
Well, those stats would be worrying for any club, let alone Manchester United. They are damaging, I must admit. And I preface everything by saying this, managers, we're in the game. We have to win football matches. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. And Manchester United are not winning enough games. There's really as simple as that. Not just not winning enough games, they're losing a lot of matches. And they're losing matches so easily. It seems as if, you can go through a 10 or 15 minute period where they've got some possession of the ball and things are looking okay. I noticed their opening game of the season at Old Trafford looked as if there was the manager bought a couple of attacking players, which was great. So was that the case of where they're just going to outscore teams? But they're not doing that now. They're not capable of doing that. They lost to Brentford, and it's not a surprise. That's the problem with it.
That is the problem, isn't it, Simon? It's no longer a surprise when Manchester United go anywhere and lose, because you half expect it.
Yeah, but you want your captain to step up and take bloody penalties and score them every now and again, don't you? Rather than going on this drought of penalties that he seems to be on now, where he misses them, that doesn't help the cause. Yeah, I mean, United are a long way away from the finished article. No one can quite work out in this room, or I think in many rooms besides the rooms at Carrington and Old Trafford, why Ruben Amorim seems to be given special dispensation that no other manager in football seems to be given, which is come in, make it worse. And make it worse and keep on making it worse and spend lots of our money whilst making it worse, and then tell everybody why you're making it worse, and ultimately you're not going to pivot from that, and a crowd cheer you. That is a wonderful formula. Every manager in the world must want to alight upon that alchemy, because that means actually just turn up and get paid for doing nothing.
He's not wrong, Martin, is he? That is not wrong. The way Simon has summed that up there.
No, he's definitely got a point. You step into a football job. There's none of this idea now that you can get time. You don't get any time, and you certainly don't get time at a club like Manchester United. So the results have been very poor, and I think Amorim has admitted that. And the problem with it all is the fact that you can actually be really likeable, and Amorim has. I think the crowd have definitely taken to him in many aspects because of his interviews. I think you have to take to someone because they win football matches.
Yeah, I mean, it's an old saying, isn't it? BS baffles brains. But I don't even think he's doing that. I mean, you look at it and say, had the Man United fans been beaten down to such a worn-down nub that they're going to accept, maybe a first half performance or a good game every other week? Because really and truly, this is not an ocean liner. It might be a difficult football club to run, but notwithstanding it, it's not an ocean liner. It can turn. And 10 months, 11 months into it, you have to look at the reality, and you have to be sensible and pragmatic. We all have our beliefs in life. We all have our principles. And what happens when you die, they die with you. You've got to win football matches. And if you can't win football matches playing a certain way, you win football matches winning another way until you can play the way you want to play. I suppose the only argument against that is what Pep Guardiola did when he came in 2016, which was, I'm going to play the way I want to play, and I'm going to keep on playing the way I want to actually achieve something.
Yeah, but he also had what shall I say? He had a lot of, shall I say, a good time. In fact, he was brilliant at Barcelona. He'd got some great players there. Therefore, he was able to implement the play he wanted.
He rocked into City in the first season and finished third, didn't he?
Yeah.
He took a side that was becoming quite significant in English football and turned it into a side that finished third. And everyone said, you can't play this way.
Yeah.
And he persisted with it, didn't he?
Martin, you know how to manage at the highest level. If you took a Manchester United to Brentford at the weekend there, with players like De Ligt, Maguire, Shaw, Bruno Fernandes, Matthias Cunha, Dalot, would you be kind of confident you're coming away with the points?
You'd be expected to win the game. Manchester United should be expected to go and win at places like
Would
Brentford.
you back yourself to manage them to beat Brentford?
Oh, that's you're putting me right in the spot here. I mean, we said, about 15, 20 minutes ago that winning football matches is difficult, but you would be expected to win. You'd be expected to win the game because Manchester United, over a period of Sir Alex Ferguson, would be expected to win football games, and with with some of the players that you mentioned there, I would be happy to be with, and with some of the players you mentioned as well, I would be not that happy to be with. You know,
we understand, Simon. I mean, any decision on Amorim likely not to be taken until after November the 1st to reduce the level of compensation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's going to be the biggest concern, which is how much money they're spending money like drunken sailors anyway. I mean, apparently this time last year they didn't have any money, which was absolute nonsense, because we all know that they did, and actually should have been pulled up by the New York Stock Exchange for making that sort of announcement. You look at it and say, well, despite all of this, Mbeumo wanted to leave Brentford to go to Man United, so they've still got the draw on the pool factor, and they've got to get themselves together. And the manager's got to get himself together. You know, whether there's truth in some of the things that you hear, that he tendered his resignation, which is not good, if that is true, if there's any scintilla of indication that's true, that what was said and heard and repeated in this, I think someone in the studio said it to us that they'd heard it, then you've already got your die cast. He's going to fail.
Does he look defeated to you, Martin, every time you hear him?
Well, I don't know the person. I think that some of the comments he's made afterwards, you know, particularly after the game against Grimsby, they'd be disconcerting. It'd be disconcerting.
It would be wrong not to mention Brentford, who won it under Martin's old pal Keith Andrews, because he worked with you, didn't he? With the Republic of Ireland.
No, he didn't work with me.
Didn't?
No, he was.
He worked in the media.
He worked in the media
against
time,
observing what you were doing with the Republic.
So were you pleased with him on the weekend?
Were you pleased for him, Martin?
First of all, let me put this in context. No, he was scathing on my tenure at the Republic of Ireland, even though we actually qualified for the Euros in 2016, the last time they've actually qualified for a competition. And then proceeds to play in the manner in which he was criticising. You know, the long throw. That's.
Did you write him a little note wishing him well?
Very innovative. However, it was a great result, regardless of how poor Manchester United were. It's still a great result for him. And it's like everything else, you start to learn how difficult the job is. It's a difficult job managing. It's a difficult job managing in any league, particularly in the Premier League. So it is a really good result. So well done him for winning the game. It's really important for him. But he's a young manager, and he will learn.
It's understood here, Simon, Sir Gareth Southgate is an option for Manchester United if they decide to part with Amorim. Could you see it? If Amorim goes, can you see Gareth walking through the front door?
Can I justify it?
Yeah.
Well, quite frankly, I could justify Elmer Fudd being wheeled in there right now if Man United want to do that in terms of the current run of results that they've got. Do I think Gareth Southgate takes you where you want to go? No, I don't. That's not because I dislike Gareth. That's not because I don't think he did a relatively decent job at England. I just don't think that Gareth Southgate fills the gap any more than Ruben Amorim fills the gap. The question is, who does? So we've heard this indexing before. We've heard it being suggested that Jim Ratcliffe has had a particular fancy for Gareth Southgate. Well, not right. Besides the fact he's a brilliant, brilliant businessman, with no doubt about that on any level, I'm not so sure he's a brilliant football operator right now. So what Jim Ratcliffe, and he's got rid of the other bluffer, isn't he? David Brailsford, he's been shipped out, found out.
In your opinion?
Right? Oh, a lot of people have been...
Do you think they know what they're going to do? Do you think Sir Jim and the rest of them know the direction they're going to go in with Amorim?
Well, no. Or when you say no, I think the question is, are planning to go in a direction, hoping that the people that they're buying and recruiting and the culture that they're introducing to the football club and the manager is going to take them where they think they should be, which is back amongst the elite. Because eventually, this idea that Man United can keep trading on their currency of generation after generation will be eclipsed by other teams like Man City keep on winning, and the next generation of fans will forget the Busby Babes, will forget George Best, will forget the Holy Trinity, and they'll be focusing on the team that wins now, which is Man City.
You hold them in high regard, I know you do, United. Would you keep him or sack him?
I'd have to be closer to the person and understand what it is the hell's going on. What it is going on in this man's mind. A, makes him say things to the media like, I think this is the worst thing I've ever seen, and then tell people that he was too young to have said it in the first place. You're 41 years of age, you're not a kid. You're managing the biggest football club in the world. Don't tell that sort of crap in front of the media.
Yeah, but you weren't close to Ollie, but you told him to get his coat.
Because I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer I watched him over a period of time. I think he was an unavoidable mistake in the first place. They gave him the job because of a win against PSG, and I think the standards of Man United deteriorated under the fact that his management was laissez-faire and lackadaisical.
Finished second.
I don't care. The deterioration has been significant as a result.
12:30 just gone. We're live in talkSPORT.